The skies above the planet Virellia shimmered with aurora-born blues and silvers. It was a world of elegance and empire, where monarchs walked in marble halls and their commands echoed across sectors. Among the stars, no kingdom was more revered or feared than the Virellian Empire. And at the center of that power stood Princess Xelari Vitheren, first daughter of Empress Kael'thra, heiress to the Diamond Throne, and rumored to be colder than the ice oceans of Valera Prime. But none of that mattered to Elias Ward, a simple human security contractor from Earth. Hired through a diplomatic security alliance, Elias had been assigned to the Virellian royal envoy 6 months ago. His mission was to provide protection for diplomatic events. The job came with high pay, strict protocols, and one unbreakable rule: never speak directly to the royal family unless spoken to first. Yet from the moment Elias laid eyes on Princess Xelari, something shifted. She wasn't what the Holovids showed. No haughty sneer, no disdainful glare. Instead, he saw brief cracks in the facade, moments when she hesitated, eyes flicking with uncertainty, as though behind the crystal gowns and regality, someone else was trapped. He noticed when she stopped during a parade to kneel beside a fallen servant. He noticed when she lingered at the edge of the security barrier after each mission, as if tempted to speak to him, and never did. He noticed her, and she noticed that he noticed. Still, duty was duty, and lines weren't crossed, until the shot was fired. Middle. It was on the 5th planet of the Chiron system, during peace negotiations with the fractured dominion of Ulix. The royals had descended with their standard entourage: advisors, guards, translators, and Elias, standing just inside the perimeter. Elias had scanned the rooftops, run the diagnostics, double-checked his gear. It all seemed routine. He didn't expect the Ulixians to be dumb enough to try anything, until he saw the glint. Sniper. His instincts took over. Time slowed. He didn't think. He moved. Xelari stood in the center of the marble dais, addressing both sides with words of unity. The bullet was meant for her heart. Elias crashed into her from the side, a burst of searing pain exploding through his chest. The force drove them both down as the crowd screamed. Blood spilled onto Virellian marble. Then came the chaos. Shields raised. Medical bots swarmed. The shooter was neutralized in seconds. Elias faded into blackness. The last thing he saw was Xelari leaning over him, not cold and regal, but terrified. She gripped his hand with trembling fingers. "Don't die," she whispered. "I command you not to die." When Elias woke, he was floating in a sterile Virellian medical pod. Painkillers numbed his chest. The bullet had punctured a lung and grazed his heart. Without immediate medical intervention, he would have been dead. His eyes struggled to focus. And there she was. Princess Xelari sat beside his pod, stripped of her usual elaborate attire. No crown, no silk, just a simple robe. Her platinum hair unbound, eyes red-rimmed. "You're awake," she said softly. He tried to speak. Pain stopped him. She gently laid a hand on his. "I disobeyed the council," she murmured. "They said I shouldn't come, that it would look weak. I don't care." He blinked, unsure what reality he was in. "You took a bullet for me," she said. "Not even my own royal guards moved. But you did." "I'm security," he croaked. "My job." "No," she snapped, voice trembling. "It wasn't your job to die for me. No one asked you to do that. You chose it." "Why?" He stared at her, and then smiled weakly. "Guess. I noticed you." Tears welled up in her eyes. She looked away as if ashamed. "I noticed you too," she whispered. The following weeks passed like a dream. Elias was moved to a secure recovery compound, and Xelari visited him often, at first in secret, then openly. Word spread through the empire like wildfire. She spoke to him as an equal, asked about Earth, about his childhood, about human music and food. She laughed at his sarcasm, teased him for being stubborn. Once she even smuggled in Terran chocolate. For the first time in her life, Xelari felt seen. Not as royalty, not as a vessel of politics, but as herself. They were two souls from different worlds, one born in a palace of stars, the other forged on the streets of New Detroit. And yet they fit. But not everyone was pleased. Climax. "Your behavior is unacceptable," hissed Empress Kael'thra, towering over her daughter in the Crystal Hall. "You are heir to the throne, Xelari, not some wandering heart-struck girl." "He saved my life," Xelari countered. "I owe him. You owe the Empire. He treats me like a person, not a symbol. He is a human, an outsider. He's braver than anyone I've ever met." The Empress's voice dropped ice-hard. "You are to break contact with him. Now." Xelari stared at her mother, the woman who ruled 100 worlds and whose word was law. "No," she said quietly. Kael'thra's eyes flared. "Then you will be stripped of your title." "So be it." Elias was packing to leave. Word had come down. His contract was terminated. The diplomatic corps didn't want further scandal. His chest still ached, both from the injury and from the thought of never seeing her again. Then she walked in. Without guards. Without a crown. "Xelari." "Not anymore," she said, voice trembling. "Not officially." What do you mean?" "I chose you," she said simply. "I left the throne." His mouth went dry. "You what?" "I'm free. For once. And I don't want to go back to being a prisoner behind polished doors." "You gave up everything," he said. "For me." She stepped closer, fingers brushing his scarred chest. "No. I gave up everything for us." He cupped her cheek. "You're insane." "Maybe," she whispered. "But you're the one who took a bullet for me. So don't talk to me about crazy." He kissed her. And the stars burned a little brighter. Ending. They didn't stay on Virellia. That life was behind them now. Instead, they traveled the stars on a retrofitted exploration cruiser Elias won in a poker game. She renamed it the Daring Choice. They visited the floating jungles of Ilara 6. Dined under the triple moons of Teoris. She made first contact with a sentient coral hive. He once convinced a pirate king not to shoot them by arm wrestling him and winning. Xelari sent the occasional encrypted message back to her younger brother, now heir, and he kept her secret. In public she was Zila, a multilingual ex-noblewoman and alien linguist. In private she was his. Sometimes, during quiet nights when the stars blinked through the viewport, Elias would touch the scar on his chest and shake his head. "Still can't believe you abandoned an empire." She'd curl beside him, her voice like velvet. "You saved my life, Elias. I had everything, wealth, power, status. But none of it meant anything until you reminded me what it means to live." Their story spread quietly, whispered among diplomats and star-cruiser bars. A tale of duty, defiance, and love that crossed empires. And when someone asked Elias once why he did it, why he jumped in front of that bullet, he just grinned. "She was worth it," he said simply. "And she always would be."